Good morning. I didn't realize I was sitting in the dark. I didn't turn my upper light on, and without my upper light on, I don't have anything on my face. So I'll sit in the shadows with you. How does that sound? We'll sit in the shadows together. I know there's always this lull before people come on when I always have this habit of starting out of the gate with my topic, and yet people don't have the chance to get on for a few minutes. So I'm trying to figure out a way to not come flying out of the gate with my topic um, in the first when the top of the hour clicks. So for those of you that just joined, I'm somewhat in the dark. I forgot to turn on my other light, and but I don't mind being in the shadows with you. I don't mind being anywhere with you. It would be lovely, and it is lovely. So there's this thing called an urge because of my way of existing. Um, I I listen to urges, and I listen to sensitivities, and I listen to imaginations because I know they're coming from our sentient intelligence, our sentience. My beloved Electra and her LOC Institute. Oh, thank you. Maybe I'm not on my headset. Hold on. Can you all hear me okay? Because my volume's up. Is it just Praline or is it me? No offense to Praline. Somebody answer me. Hi. How's the volume? Of course, I guess I have to talk so you can hear the volume. Okay, great. Thanks, Megs. So good to see you, by the way. Good to see all of you. Um, thanks. I love being Lear, Yolanda. We have to invent a whole new language. We just do. The other ones become so amazingly boring. So, my beloved Electra and the LOC Institute did their first of 7 calls Wednesday night on sentient intelligence, and uh, I don't know. It's just so exciting to see the deeper nature of humanity rising. It's just so exciting. No problems. I know what's happening on the surface world, and it goes back to a very beautiful native born on this land we call USA now. Uh, they talk about people who walk on the earth and people that walk with her, and for us to we're getting back ourselves. We're getting back ourselves, and part of it is because everything's breaking apart. Everything's collapsing around us, and in a very interesting way. And I don't mean it rudely. It kind of forces us to find ourselves. Otherwise, we're like a ping pong ball in a Mad Hatter game, and the rabbit was never taught how to um, play play ping pong. So it's a curious time, and I know it's hard. I know that our sensitivities are quite high, and there's a sort of an empathic, connective grief, low-lying grief and sadness that humanity's sharing. But that shared field of experience, and I'm not really talking about our emotional field. I'm more talking about our sentience, our shared field. our shared consciousness. And consciousness isn't your words, it isn't your mental perception. It's the water you swim in. It's the water we all swim in. So there's this kind of grief and sadness for a lost world that we're swimming in now. I just want you to know it's okay. We're all doing it together. Some people are handling it through violence. Some people are handling it through withdrawal. Some people are handling it through logic, that's a challenge probably right now. But what's really beautiful is we're in a worldwide event. We're all feeling something. We're feeling a lost world. And guess what? You can't feel a lost world if you don't carry it. If it didn't exist, and if it didn't exist in you, we wouldn't know it was lost. And when we're in a sentience, or swimming in a sentient moment, when empathically the whole world is woven together right now, the whole world. It doesn't matter what we're saying. It doesn't matter what our politics is. It doesn't matter what our opinion is. The surface world is giving way to the deeper nature of our being. Can we perceive it? Can we logic it? Can we cope with it sometimes? I don't know. I don't think so. It's organic. It's cellular. It's atomic. It's the particle field. And no amount of thought and no amount of explanation and no amount of, what would be the word, whatever placates you, with drugs, alcohol, sex, or rock and roll, or even friends. This thing, our heart, it's been disturbed. And it's been disturbed at a sentient level. In other words, the trees feel it. The roadrunner that flew through our backyard, escaping a hawk, feels it. We feel it. The stars feel it. I mean, doesn't it, when I say that, doesn't it touch something in you? Like, isn't there something that makes you almost feel like you're going to well up in tear? That's empathy. Not empathy for another, but empathy with life, within life. It's just amazing. You know, if anybody's ever done any healing work, whether it's the working on the pain body or through the work of myofascia and other things, or whether we're working on psychological pain, psychological thought that gives us emotional pain. Underneath all that, we all have been told, if you've ever gone down that route, that you have to let it up for it to heal. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it as a world. You know, the last 7 years, I worked with a group of people globally and about building the strength, stamina, capacity for these times. I feel that was very successful. And but now we're doing it in Facebook Live, and I'm going to do a couple of body of works for people that are interested in personal identity of self-development. They'll start in June, but this call, this time, I'm not coming on to advertise myself. I don't need to anymore. 57 years later, I don't have anything to advertise. And besides, I'm always busy at work. I don't have time to advertise. I'm busy. Most I can ever do is just tell you what's happening, and you have to figure out how, if you want to play, you have to figure out how to show up. And I'm probably getting worse at it than better. But But what's really important is on these Fridays, we come together as a collective. Every place you can come together as a collective. We build this shared strength of empathy. We build this shared strength of sentience. They're so weak in the human system. And you might say it's like going into an exercise gym and the trainer tells you you have to lift 500 pounds now. And your muscles have never lifted 500 pounds. And that's kind of what it's like right now, wherever you can find it, not just here. I have a very specific body of work that I came here to be part of, and that's a union of heaven and earth, the union of you as a personal self, a self that is part of the one soul species of human being, rising in your nature, restoring your nature, because the way things are going, your nature is going to have a place. Your realm of being is going to have a place here, and it's rising in you now, predisposed to rise before the world is ready for it. But because it's like pressure, it's like the pressure of your deeper nature is rising as part of the wave, part of the pushing out in front of itself to make room for itself. It's really amazing. I mean, let's just take myself for an example. I've been in post-COVID effect, and the two things I've been working through is high sensitivity, really high sensitivity, not so much emotional, energetic, and a temporary heart condition, and breathing, which is hence the high sensitivity. So this past week, a Friday before this last 2 Fridays ago, my blood pressure finally got down close to normal rather than spiking all over the upper universe. And it was so great. And then something happened. My daughter started into a healing crisis, and she lives close to me, and my blood pressure went up, and it hasn't stopped going up. But I understand the unity of self and other, and so you could say that our blood pressure is going up, my daughter and I. Our sensitivities are swimming in this futility of the body craving love, craving connection, craving unity with another. And in our modern world, we've made that sexuality. But the body craves connection. It craves it, and because we're embodying here the higher playing fields of creation now, our little dulled down sense of existence is going to have to deal with a body that's coming alive and in its immediate awakening, finding something missing and yet not able to stop the longing for it. What's really beautiful, my 2 sons, Aaron and Ricky, and my daughter, Liana, I was laughing with Aaron. He's the youngest at 36. And I said, honey, we may be an incredibly dysfunctional family, but boy, are we a team. Everybody jumps on board. We were raised by community. My kids were, except for Ricky. It took a while for Ricky to find me. I was forced to give him up quite a while ago. And but he's back now. But and because we've learned to share the pain, to take the pressure off each other. We also share the joy, so that when we're ecstatic, it isn't overwhelming. It isn't like glee mania, or it isn't like a stimulus response. It's like a place to exist that we treasure together. And you could say we're an empathic team. I'd never thought of it that way till I was coming on the call today, but we're sort of an empathic team. We have a group, a WhatsApp group, that it's an empathic team. It just is. It's sentient together. It's like being part of a seed, not even a seed, being part of the ground that is seeds, is seeding. Yeah, being part of a ground that is seeding. And I wish it for everyone. It's going to take a minute or two. It's not going to happen today or tomorrow. It's not something to get over. It's something to become. We can't get over our emotions now. We can't get over our body now. We can't get over or stuff down ourself now. It's a unity-based, it's a phenomenon of unity that's rising, and it's fun to build the strength, stamina, capacity for it. It's imagine that it may be really true. For me, it absolutely is. That I almost died. I almost died of COVID. Lily left in perfect rhythm because I needed to be here in New Mexico, and she couldn't come with me. And my dog, for those that don't know. And yet she's still with me now, just not with a body. Buen dia. See. You make me cry. So then it turns out I almost died of post-COVID, and I'd even finished a gigantic body of work that I had been guided to start over 45 years ago. On December 2021, December 31st, 2020. So I didn't really need to be here anymore. And frankly, I couldn't think of a more wonderful place to be than here in New Mexico. It's like our United States version of the land being alive with spirit, surrounded by Pueblo tribes that have never left their home, who have been nurturing their direct relationship with the Great Spirit all these hundreds and hundreds of years. And so this primordial, primitive type being I am is so at home here. But something in me fought to live, not fought to live because I'm afraid to die, because I wanted to be around for what was coming. I knew it was going to be hard. I've been telling people that for a long time. I knew it was going to be hard. Catherine, schedule a time with me, please. I knew it was going to be hard, but I knew it was the beginning. That there'd be a lot of concentration on end of days and the futility of the reality that we had been incarcerated in for a long time. But you can't have the end of days without the beginning of tomorrow. You can't do it. We're a dual system. And we have to have both and, not either or. So there's this rising that you can count on. That's what I want to tell you. There's this rising of magic. I'm doing 2 pieces of work, and I'm sharing this because we're part of it. Even those that don't participate are part of it. You only have to have a small group of a coherent field to concentrate time over a period of time for it to affect the larger whole of which you're a part. It's a technical thing. So I don't have to go evangelize around the world. I just operate in the higher frequency natures of things, and when people are called to operate that, because that's theirs to do, not because they need to be saved or recovered, just because that's theirs to do, when they build that coherency, that cohesion, that unity based, and that alignment, it ripples out to everybody that they're involved with, that I'm involved with. And I love ripple effects. I've never wanted to try to get the masses to all agree on the same thing. Then there wouldn't be diversity. I've never wanted one God here. It's populated by multiple GODs, multiple GODs. We're a multi-dimensional planet. We're not a single thought planet. We don't even all live in the same realities. She has room for everything. Absolutely everything, this beloved mother that we've been part of and get to have this short time with. So I can feel it. I can feel it, and yet at the same time, I feel without my skin. That's the thing I want to get across, that there's something, I know it sounds crazy, so funny, and you just wrote, I just got a clip of someone sending me a note above my screen, and it was just about what I was just going to say, talk about coherence. So here's the thing, we're going to be skinless for a while, because the skin was to protect us from something we don't need to be protected from anymore. Our connectivity to our deeper nature, our connectivity to the deeper emotions, our connectivity to our magic, our connectivity to our strength, our connectivity to our power. We haven't had any for hundreds of years. We've been under domination. You're welcome to say what dominated us, but regardless if we've been under domination, I don't really care what. I watch human beings drive their same crazy, trying to figure out who to blame, when the condition is what we need to sort out, not who caused it. That's between them and creation. It's not between them and us. So I just want to let you know that if you'd like to come here on Fridays, I'm here. If there are other groups that you feel like when you're connected with them, you have your skin back, just maybe temporarily until we finish our global healing, till we finish our planetary healing, till we finish our collective healing. But we are in a collective healing. We are in that. I promise you with all my heart. I have this funny thing going on. You guys are so cute. So people are on listening to Facebook Live, and they're writing on the WhatsApp thread. And because I get notifications of the Field of Tantra Monk WhatsApp thread, they're commenting to each other on the thread, but they're coming in on on the Facebook Live, and I'm not even sure they know that, or that they're actually on Facebook Live. I just realized, but they're completely coherent to what is being said here. I talk about evidence. It's very funny. It's very funny. So part of the good news, it's challenging, is we don't know what to do because we don't know where we are. And that's actually good news, not bad news. And we have natural systems that are rising, and we're getting to know them again. And my blood pressure went up when my daughter's emotional palette began a healing crisis. And hence, I just walked into it. Because obviously in the epigenetics of our family, and in my being her mother, I'm part of what happened to us. So, and then I called the other members of the family and told them what was happening. So we'd all be able to realize we might be experiencing thin skin or raw nerves or high sensitivity, not to get rid of it, people, not to get rid of it, but to give it a place before we get our new skin, so we can get our new skin. Imagine that in the next 3 to 6 years, there will be enough people that will be able to have their palette back of their deep sensitivities, of their deep love, of their ability to express sorrow when sorrow is needed, called for. I hate to say needed, called for. To be able to express joy when it's what's rising. To not be thing oriented, but to be expression oriented. The palette of being alive. I'm rewriting, of course, because I have a group that is reading my book, Mind of Creation, that I'm publishing in latter September. And so I end up rewriting almost everything because now they're part of the listening palette. I can hear more clearly. That's the other thing, is now when we are together, we hear more clearly. We were never meant to be individuated to the point of only hearing ourselves. We're storytellers. We're sitting around the fire telling stories. And those stories aren't like sharing in a bar to get laid or to have somebody go away with you for the night. It's storytelling was because it was creation through our voices painting a beautiful picture. And as the picture was painted through our voices, we knew how to navigate our lives. Yeah. So I have a little bit of an announcement. All my stuff's on tantramont.com. I'm not hard to find. So, if you ever feel called to participate, it's easy. But I always in the past have gotten a lot of birthday cards, and which I love, and gifts around my birthday. And I actually have a specific request that would really matter to me. Even $1 would be fabulous. So I have 3 dragons. Esme's the mom, and Yolinda and Owen, because here they have those names. When they're with their other family, they have different names because they were with the Sandiforth family for a while. They're their second parents, and second, not parents, children, more friends. But in New Mexico, the wind's really, really strong, and I can't let Esme have her wings because she gets blown over. So there's this amazing place. It's called the Lagos. They work with metal. They're going to do this amazing gate for me, which I'm going to take a picture of. But I want Esme to have her wings back, and the only way I can do it is to have them do a new set of wings and to cut out in the wings enough air space in some kind of amazing sacred to the land cutout, so that she can have her wings back and the air can blow through them, and she can have her wings. It's hard on her not to have her wings. And then Yolanda and Owen, they need their wings repaired. They're okay, but they need their wings repaired. They need the wind has broken 2 of them. So I asked Praline to put up on the chat line my PayPal for Lily and I. It's Lily and I. This is Lily's in my paradise, her in spirit and me in flesh. So the name of the PayPal account is Lily and Tantras, Tantras without the apostrophe, paradise at gmail.com. So I don't often ask for contributions, but I don't know how much it's going to cost. And I want Esme to have her wings. She deserves them. She's protected the space everywhere I've gone and everywhere she's been. And I want her to have her wings. So I would prefer that over gifts. If anyone was sending a gift, which I know a few of you have said you wanted to, I would prefer that she gets her wings, and then I'll do a Facebook Live outside with her and her wings, and we'll see her in all her glory, which she deserves, which she really deserves. So what time is it? Oh, we're only at the bottom of the hour. Anybody want to hang on a little bit longer? That's kind of the main channeled message for the day. It wasn't even what I thought I was going to talk about when I sat down. What I was going to talk about, I want to share now. Kind of the storytelling part of the conversation. So I was at Megan is her other home. Megan Senderforth and her husband, her kids, especially the kids, were so good to take them all in and make them give them a belonging in their home. And it was really hard for us to load them on the truck and bring them here because they'd become part of their home. But see, that's part of the longing of a human being, to the ability to long and yet be giving, and long and yet know what's right. That's what my daughter's working through, is she longs for something that someone somewhat satisfied, but it wasn't right. It wasn't wrong either. It just wasn't sufficient to either. And so she's working it through. My daughter's amazing as a sensitive. She's one of the most high sensitives I've ever met. And yet she works at the border and immigration. And she works places where the pain is bad. But her ability to constantly confront her own pain and sorrow about what life has become limited in gives her the strength, stamina, capacity for everyone, every life she touches. It's all in the emotional field now. It's all happening in the emotional field. That's where our ability to experience wonder and love and sorrow and the juice of life exists. To be at the effect of our emotional field is the body's trying to work that out right now, so that we're powerful in this expressive nature that we carry, so it doesn't get all tangled up in our mental perception that usually turns against us. Don't you think it's fascinating don't you think there's something really wrong that the emotional palette, when it gets really, really strong and really, really intense, that it triggers mental thinking that is self-deprecating, self-defeating, goes against the self? Our emotions shouldn't go against ourselves. We'd be robots. We wouldn't be able to love or care or be kind or angry when needed. So something has happened between the emotional plane, the empathic response, and the mental perception, where the mental perception turns it back on us, turns it against us. It's like this palette of triggers that make us crazy and put us in anguish, rather the strength of our own power of life. something's terribly wrong about that. Something's terribly, terribly wrong about that. And I, like Leonard Cohen, plan to do something about it. Not on my turf. Because you need the emotions to rise into your power, not the emoting, but the feeling, the sensing, the energy. You need it to have your wings, to feel your gut, to stand your ground, to be in the agony of yourself and another, to be in the love of yourself and another. And everybody talks about how much divorce there is. The only reason there's divorce is because there's not a sufficient strength, stamina, capacity in the emotional palette. We use this terrible mental mindsets that have been imposed upon human beings that trigger emotion and feelings into blame, into attack, into protect, into defense, rather than into being present to what there is to be present to, open up into what there is to open up into, and have what there is to have. We need to be at work about that. It's all in the mental structure of the mind, which creates a circular, persistent, looping attack on the human psyche. And it's not you. It's a mental construct, like the barbed wire fence of consciousness that has turned humanity against itself, of unconsciousness. It has turned the barbed wire fence of humanity against itself. And yeah, I do think something did that. We wouldn't do that. Why would we do that? I mean, it wouldn't even make sense. But whatever that is, it did that. It's not going to be allowed to live here much longer. We've been reclaiming ourselves as a species for a very long time, and we will continue to do that. I like to work one-on-one or in small groups to build the strength, stamina, capacity of coherence in the group, and now to rebuild the human psyche so we're able to relate to what we are effectively, because we need to be able to relate to ourselves as what we are effectively. So today I was really I started this call by saying I was just kind of riled and frustrated, and I realized that, and I'd like your attention on this. I'd like your prayers. It's going to sound like a strange prayer. But I realized I'd prefer to be on Zoom for those that would like to be on Zoom, and you can also be on Facebook when you put the two together, because I prefer dialogue over monologue. And I sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, and I put together the manifestation of a vision called Create a World. And I realized that the energetic power of Create a World was what was rising in me, and that I needed to put it in place. So my prayer, we had a young man over here, Jose. He was lovely, but it was after two other people just stood us up to move the house around. I need to do a video of the house. It's pretty cool what's happened here. Parts of the house that are done, but they're really cool. And he said it really well yesterday. He said people just aren't showing up. And then this other conversation happened, and this is sort of hard to comprehend. Somebody was saying to me on the phone yesterday that that what was going to happen when we were being isolated from the rest of the world, when our point of view and our sense of existence, and what if the world began to isolate us? And I said, and I know this is probably too big a pill to swallow, but nonetheless, here Tantra goes. And I'm usually right, actually, by the way. It does help to be psychic. Honest to God, it does. It's not my personal opinion. But I said, we don't have to worry about anything. We just won't be noticed. Because if there's one reality that is paying attention to who to blame, right, wrong, good, bad, if there's people swimming in that reality, those of us that aren't swimming in that reality won't even exist for them. We won't even be part of the equation. We'll just be in a reality that's moving more deeply into operating as part of life, not circumstantial life, the vitality of the universal principle of creation called life. And it startled me when I said it, but I knew it was true. Just like for a lot of people, the homeless are invisible. Where the things will become invisible that are not part of the palette of reality that you're operating in. It's that way already. It's just it'll be more defined. Years and years ago, I knew I was looking in on the world. I was watching the world from another place. And then I began to develop the place that I was standing in my own existence. By the way, this is very, very, very more what we'll get aware of in a few years than today, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's hard to believe there'll be a mental perception in the next few years that where we're looking in on the world around us and we're part of another world. But it will be true. So it won't really be separation in the sense of separation as for and against. It'll just be distinct. It's the same. It really is real, and it's becoming more real all the time. And a lot of what people are experiencing is kind of extricating themselves from a for or against the enemy reality and moving their cellular. I'm not saying their identity is. The identity is still pretty screwed up. But the cellular system, the atomic, the particle field of you, the spirit, the beingness particularly is extricating itself from it's like when you touch barbed wire or electrical shock, you just stop moving towards it. And the world we were born into that was dominant is just kind of prickly and shocking, and we're just withdrawing from it. That's different than being against it. I'm not against a bear just because I don't hug him. I'm just keep my distance and can appreciate him from afar. So it's more like that, if you can kind of get my drift. But this will be over the next 18 months to 3 years, I promise. And we won't think like I can hear you thinking now. We won't think like them and us. We won't think like that. We won't even know. They'll feel part of us, just not operationally operating the same way as us. So there won't be any sense of there's a them and there's an us and they're wrong and we're right. That's just the broken matrix. That's just a collapsed field we're in that forces our mindsets to go towards separation. It's not who we are. We love everybody. We want everybody to make it, and everybody has a right to their own reality. They just do. We don't ask the bear to live like a human. We shouldn't ask human beings to all live the same way. But we should also have the ability to know our preference, the type of reality we are maturing. And it's hard to believe. Well, I know those of you on the WhatsApp thread see this all the time. We're just busy, happy in our little container, and everything needs a container. In the physical world, you can't live without a container. You can't even live effectively without choices of how you want to live, choices of who you want to be with, choices of what you hold to be real. Those are all etheric containers that allow us to experience reality in very unique and essential, very unique ways. And they're essential. It's essential to do that. So it's hard right now, but can't you hear that part of our mind is slipping out of it? That part of our mind isn't functioning in that for and against or the enemy anymore at all. Part of it's just busy like your teeny little, almost minute seed. Like I kept staring at my plants outside because they didn't come up and they didn't come up and they didn't come up, to the point I thought I was going to have to do another set of starter seeds, and then plop, up they came. Some of them quite big actually. And so that's kind of where we are at right now. We're under the ground. We're in the soul of the soil, and we're seeded, and we're being cared for by the realities that we've longed for but have never experienced. Promise, I really promise that's true. I really do. And I'm a forecaster. I'm a seer. I prophesy. So you can have this be my prophecy, not my trying to convince you that it's so. Okay. So I think that I'm my prayer I'm asking of you all is I everything I try to do to create a world together falls through. Um, I think it's because in the field of Tantra Mat, things have to be longed and craved for them to come into existence. I can't just plop something in there and just because I want to do it. It has to have a sufficient quantum craving. But I really want to do this, create a world. The heart clinic I'm going to, this amazing Dr. Remy, he's come over to me twice in the last 3 times, and I said to him, I want to do this structural thing. I have to have somebody to help me structure it and make sure we do the YouTube and Zoom together correctly, and someone to babysit me as we start this creative world, and somebody to be on my side and make the production crew, so to speak, to make sure it comes off well and is standing by. So I don't have to hold that while I'm creating a space for something to rise. So that's the prayer. I need somebody to follow through for me. I need somebody to stand there with me and make sure it happens, and to help our person that's going to manage the people coming on. And so I'm free to build a new matrix, to build a new field of hope, actually. So Dr. Remy came over and we were talking. And he says, "You're very articulate about COVID." And I said, "Well, I've been part of a group for the last 7 years. And one of the things we got really good at is unpacking something until we could see and experience it clearly rather than just taking the first thing that was said or just, we just you don't realize how much information you take in that's unpacked, almost all of it. And yet truth seems to be whatever you take in, not whatever you've unpacked." And so we were talking about that, how I said, I was thinking when I was on it's called a new step. I was thinking how somehow whatever you all put together here really works. And I'm so appreciative. And he laughed and he said, what's so interesting about you saying that is we all got together and we created a premise, a theory about what could help people recover from heart conditions and from COVID. Both of them. And and we just started our theory. But we unpacked everything and we really looked at everything so we could give this nutritional exercise monitoring place a chance. And he said, every day one of us or more of us will look at each other and go, "Oh my God, it works. It actually works." And that's kind of where we are right now. We're unpacking things. We're going to together we're going to be creating premises. My premise is I Magi and I Guardian at the Gate right now. 2 premises that I think creation's calling for. And I want to give a place. I want to create a world a place, because I said to Dr. Remy, this is the most beautiful example in the physical action, because they come around and talk to us and see how we're doing. It's just, and it's men and women together, young men and women, and then it's over 80 leader. And I said, this place is a place of real, genuine hope. And I said, that's what I want Create a World to be. I don't want it to tell people what they should be doing or tell people what to think. I just want to be in the essence of people that design their lives to give people hope. I think that's awesome. And he teared up. So I said, I'd love to do that with you. And he said, I'd love it. I'd love that too. So he's in my list. And then he asked me if he could interview me. So I'll be doing an interview with him, unpacking COVID and my experience and what I've noticed and what I've talked to people about, because people obviously talk to me about what's been affecting them and how they've been experiencing the aftermath of COVID and the aftermath of the vaccine. Unpacking and creating a premise within which the potentiality of new futures can rise. How cool is that? Thank you for being here today. What I would really love, my miracle would be, is that I got the right production crew together and coaching crew and stand by me crew together, that by next Friday we could be doing Create a World. Many blessings. Take precious care. Oh, by the way, this month's my birthday. That's why, in case you all wondered why I was talking about my birthday presents, is because this month's my birthday. I forgot to put that in the equation. I'm a Gemini. Oh, God. I don't think any of you would have realized that, of course, but I am. Take precious care.